It was supposed to be just another road trip, a break from the daily grind, a weekend of peace. For Alex, a photographer with a love for capturing the unknown, this trip to the countryside was meant to be a quiet escape, a chance to unplug from the world and refocus. He had driven through numerous small towns, each with its own charm, but nothing prepared him for what he would encounter in the forgotten town of Stillwater. It all started with a wrong turn. The highway was monotonous, the GPS losing signal as the forested roads grew more isolated. Alex didn't mind. He had an adventurous spirit, and exploring off the beaten path was nothing new. He let the car's tires crunch over the gravel of a narrow road, leading him deeper into the woods, past ancient trees whose branches seemed to stretch towards the sky like skeletal hands. The road wound and twisted, and just as he thought of turning back, he saw it, a rusted sign, barely visible through the overgrowth. Welcome to Stillwater, established 1835. The sign's age intrigued him. Towns like this, forgotten by time, had always fascinated Alex. He decided to check it out, hoping to find some unique photos. He pulled into the town, expecting to see the typical signs of a small, sleepy village, maybe a general store or a church, but Stillwater was different. The air was unnaturally still. No birds chirped, no wind rustled the trees. The buildings looked like they had been abandoned for decades, yet there was no sign of decay. They stood in perfect condition, almost frozen in time. He stepped out of the car and felt it immediately, a heavy, suffocating silence, as though the world itself had paused. The streets were empty, not a single person in sight. The town square, with its ornate fountain in the middle, was completely deserted. The water in the fountain was eerily still, not even a ripple disturbing its surface. Alex felt a chill run down his spine. Something was wrong. He walked toward the nearest building, an old fashioned diner with a neon sign that read Betty's Cafe. The neon buzzed faintly, but it was dim, as though it hadn't been serviced in years. He pushed open the door and stepped inside. It was like stepping into a time capsule. Everything was perfectly preserved. The booths were clean, the counters polished, and yet there was no one there. On one of the tables, two plates of food sat untouched, as if the customers had just gotten up and left. The coffee in their cups was still steaming. Suddenly, the diner's old jukebox flickered to life, playing a scratchy 1950s tune. Alex jumped, his heart pounding. He looked around, half expecting someone to walk in, but the diner remained empty. Feeling uneasy, Alex left the diner and walked further down the street. Every building was the same, empty, yet perfectly preserved, as if the entire town had been paused in the middle of its daily routine. The barber shop still had a towel draped over a chair, scissors and combs neatly placed on the counter. The hardware store had tools lying out as if waiting for someone to come back and finish their work. As he ventured into Stillwater, Alex noticed something strange. The sun hadn't moved. It had been sitting in the same position in the sky for what felt like hours. He checked his watch. The second hand ticked forward, but then stuttered and reset over and over again. He was stuck in time. Panicking now, Alex ran back to his car, only to find it wouldn't start. The engine made no sound, as though the battery had been drained. Desperation clawed at him. He was alone, trapped in a town where time stood still. As night began to fall, although the sun hadn't moved, he noticed something even more disturbing. The shadows in the town weren't behaving naturally. They seemed to move on their own, stretching toward him, creeping closer. He could feel eyes watching him from the dark windows of the buildings, though there was no one there. He ran, trying to find some way out. But the more he ran, more lost he became. The town seemed to shift around him, the streets twisting and looping back on themselves. Every alley led back to the town square, and no matter how far he ran, the fountain was always in view. As the hours passed, or was it days, Alex began to lose track of time. He didn't sleep, he didn't eat. The town consumed him, its oppressive silence suffocating him with each passing moment. The shadows grew bolder, now circling him, whispering his name in voices he couldn't recognize. Then, just as his mind began to fray, he saw her. A woman stood in the middle of the town square, dressed in an old fashioned clothes, her skin pale, glowing in the eerie still light. She was the first person Alex had seen since arriving in Stillwater. He ran to her, desperate for answers. Please, he gasped. What is this place? What's happening? The woman turned to face him, her eyes hollow, empty. Stillwater is where time comes to die, she whispered. We've been waiting for you. A cold dread settled over Alex. Waiting for me? He stammered. I don't understand. She smiled, a chilling, unnatural smile. No one finds Stillwater by accident. It chooses you. You belong to it now. Before he could react, the shadows surged forward, engulfing him. They were no longer just shadows. They were figures, twisted and distorted, with eyes like burning coals. They pulled him into the darkness, their cold hands gripping him tightly. Alex struggled, but it was futile. As he was dragged into the inky blackness, the woman's voice echoed in his mind. In Stillwater, you're part of the town forever. The last thing Alex saw before the darkness swallowed him whole was the town square, the fountain still eerily still, the sun frozen in place, and then there was nothing. Weeks later, a group of travelers took a wrong turn and found themselves in Stillwater. They noticed the same strange stillness, the same eerie quiet. As they wandered through the town, they noticed something new. An old camera lying on the ground near the fountain, covered in dust. And in the reflection of the fountain's still water, a shadowy figure watched them from a distance, waiting. Stillwater had chosen again. Don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss out on the next story. Thanks for watching.